the new album, Churches Without Saints, is only a few days away. It's funny, when you get closer to the album's release date, the wait becomes more unbearable. But we've been waiting 5 years for another Desaster album anyway, so I can wait a few more days. What was the reason for such a long gap in between Churches Without Saints and the Oath of an Iron Ritual?
You must know that we are not a professional band. We all have our regular jobs. We earn our living with other stupid stuff, So of course we don't have the time to songwrite that speedy. We are always slow songwriters because we can't rehearse for 3 or 4 times a week like we did in the past when we were at school or students or unemployed. So nowadays we only can rehearse 1 or 2 times in a month. So you can imagine that takes its time then.
Yeah, getting old sucks. Musically, what would you say separates this new album from the previous one?
Musically, I think there is no difference because we are still doing the same for 30 years now. We hate the word evolution.
Yeah.
But of course, there are a few new elements, I think, which were brought by our new drummer. We have a new drummer on this album, and of course, he brings some fresh elements into the music. And but that's all. We didn't change our style or something like that, so the people don't have to fear that we are doing disco music right now.
There's no Kiss turn coming up for Desaster. But I mean, from what I've heard, it's a really strong albums. At least the material that I've heard so far, it's like you say, it's classic Desaster. It's got that evil tinge to it. It's like Venom amped up even more. But so it's going to be a really strong album, I think. As for the title, Churches Without Saints, where does the title come from?
It was, in fact, it was my idea to entitle the album Churches Without Saints. It has a deeper meaning behind it. You know that we ever were an anti-religious, anti-Christian band with lyrics like that. And of course, the Catholic Church especially is still very big in Europe, in Germany, in Poland. And we have to fight against shit like this because, of course, every human being needs some spirituality, of course. Yeah, everybody is free to pray to whoever he wants, pray to God, pray to Lemmy, or pray to a bottle of beer. It doesn't matter to us. But if the religion is institutionalized, history has shown that it's always a problem. There are wars, there are fights. Just have a look what is going on in Israel again now. And we don't want this shit anymore. And there are still a lot of scandals going on in the Catholic Church, especially here in Germany. We had another children abuse shit going on, which was they tried to hide it under the carpet, some shit like that. Yeah. And we don't want this anymore. So we want the churches without all these false saints, all the clerics who want to tell you what to do, what to believe. We don't need that shit. We are free human beings, and we are living in a free state. And I think religious institutions don't have anything to do there. I look to Poland. I totally support what is Nergal from Behemoth doing there. He's fighting against this fucking law, the blasphemia law, which is still there, and he's fighting for free speech. And I totally support this.
Absolutely. I mean, I've always thought blasphemy laws were fucking stupid anyway. It's a Stone Age relic. If God is all powerful, it's going to be able to take an insult.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Um, and like you say, there's still a heavy Catholic presence throughout Europe. I didn't realise that it still had a strong presence in Germany. I thought, in my ignorance, since that's where Martin Luther was from, that Germany was more of a Protestant country. But
It's half. It's half. North of Germany is Protestant, and the south of Germany, where we belong to, is more Catholic. Bavaria. There is the church is really big,
yeah,
and they still have the crosses at school and at the wall. And yeah, I think we should stop this. Everybody can. Put a cross on his own wall at his home, but what has this to do in a school? That's stupid.
yeah. Especially in a school where you're going to be teaching things that conflict with religious ideology or something like that. I mean, I have a friend who became an atheist at 4 because there was a priest saying that the world was 6,000 years old or something. He said, well, no, because there's dinosaurs, and he became an atheist there and then at 4 years old, 5 years old.
Wow, that's really bad. Yeah.
Yeah. But getting back to the album, so far there's been 2 singles released: "Learn to Love the Void" and "Endless Awakening." Again, these are both really strong, vicious singles.
Thank you.
Why was the decision made to lead with these 2 songs?
In fact, this is the opening track of the album and the last track before the outro, and so we thought would be cool to show the people the beginning and the end of the album, and they can have their own imagines what is in between. And yeah, I like both songs. I of course like all songs on the album, but I think these are very typical songs of Desaster, and they can represent what the album is all about. They have all elements, which is the trademark of Desaster. They have a thrashing style, they have some blast, black metal, speed, but also some epic tunes like the Endless Awakening song, And yeah, I think that was a good decision to choose these 2 songs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I say, I think they're fantastic. So it's doing its job. It's making me want to buy the album. So
Thank you.
yeah. And also something I really, really like about the album is the artwork. The artwork's fantastic.
You like it?
Oh, I love it. I'd marry it if I could. In a church without saints.
Yes. Join the church. Yeah, it was made by a Brazilian artist. We worked together with him for a t-shirt design in the past already, and we gave him the chance to do the new album cover. We gave him the title, we gave him some ideas. We wanted the church in the back, we wanted some saints in the front, and he did it. It was so great. I also like it. It's not my favorite album cover. That's still the Tyrants of the Netherworld artwork, which is, I think, a little bit like an icon, really. But the new one is also very good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great because I think it represents the music very well. And so Disaster's always kind of been that middle ground between thrash metal and black metal, and I think it's one of those artworks where if you're a fan of either genre, it's going to appeal to you. And death metal and whatever else as well. It's going to look, it's metal anyway, looking at it.
Yeah.
There's no mistaking it for
And
actual boys album.
And what is cool about the cover is also there are so many details. You have to buy the vinyl to see all the details.
Okay. How did you get in contact with this artist?
He was he was proposed to us. I don't know the exact word. By our friends. We have a lot of friends in Brazil, and they recommended him to us. And we as I said already, tried him out with a t-shirt design, and he did a good job with that. And so we said, okay, let's go for the album.
Cool. It's also quite interesting the way this album was recorded as well. It was tracked in your rehearsal space, I believe so.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Has that been the case for a while, or is this something that you did kind of out of necessity?
We did it already in the past for the last two albums, and we wanted to do it again because it's always very relaxing if you can go to the rehearsal room when you want to. You don't have to pay the rent for a real studio, and you have to be finished with the recording sessions after 2, 3, 4 weeks. You don't have a deadline like this. So it was very relaxing. We could spend a lot of time, drink in between the recordings, have some fun, go out, so it was very cool. And the mixer this time, he brought with him a very old mixing board. It was so fucking huge. It was half the room in the rehearsal place,
Yeah.
and I think this old mixing board makes something with the sound. Of course, we used modern techniques, the computer programs everybody is using nowadays. But I wanted to do something against this standard sound. Everybody is sounding alike. Every band is sounding the same nowadays, and I wanted to have something different, some more old school. Of course, we are old school farts, and I think we managed it. I think I like the sound very much. What do you think about the sound? Is it good or?
I really like it, and I'll tell you why. Is because it's been able to perfectly meet in between like modern production and old school. And some bands they go, oh, I want to do it old school, and it's like, well, fine, but then it just sounds like a throwback, So, and which is okay, but you want it to at least sound decent. And this sounds really good, but it doesn't sound clean, which I think is perfect for a Disaster album.
Thank you very much. That's a very good description. That was our aim to do it like this. Of course, we like old bands and old records. I would like to mention, for example, the old Razor albums, the Canadian Razor. Of course, you know them. They ever had a shitty sound. That was a pity because the music was great, And if you go back and want to have an old school sound, it shouldn't sound shitty, it must have some power, and I think we managed to do an old school sound, but with also a lot of energy and power in the sound.
Absolutely, yeah, and it can really obviously it affects the sound, but I think it affects the perception of the band as well. Because, like you say, Razor is such a good band, but people might hear the old production when it would be turned off, or the Shotgun Justice album cover and go, nah.
No.
Onslaught as well. They were another band. It was like awesome music, but the production was shite. So.
Yes. I agree with you. With the old Razor albums, you can't hear any bass drum. There is no bass drum.
Well, once again, this album's been released with Metal Blade. You've been with Metal Blade for 16 years now, or at least the first album with Metal Blade was released in 2005. What would you say is the reason for having such a long relationship with the label?
We're still very satisfied with their work. In the past, we had small labels releasing our albums, and there was always the problem that the people in South America, for example, that they were asking, oh, we can't get your albums. The small labels we had, they didn't had a good distribution. So that was always a problem. Also, the labels we had in the past, there were one-man labels, and of course they couldn't work that professional like a big label, like an established label like Metal Blade. And we didn't care a lot of the reputation a record label has. Of course, it is great to be on the same label like in the past Slayer were on, Merciful Fate. That's of course great and makes us proud in one way. But on the other hand, for us, the label only has to deliver the records and the CDs to the fans, say that there's a new Disaster album out. So that's the job of the label. And yeah, they can do it better, of course, than those semi-professional labels we had in the past. So we like the guys, you know, the German boss of Metal Blade is a great guy. We have a good relationship, and yeah, so we didn't see a sense to change the label.
Good, good. And obviously, with the current state of the world, it's hard to do an interview about discussing the pandemic. Did it affect this album in any way? Had it caused a delay in release or recording?
In fact, it supports the rehearsals because we couldn't play live, so we could totally concentrate on the rehearsals, on the recordings. It was not interrupted with rehearsals for shows, and you know, we had all weekends to record the stuff. We couldn't go anywhere and play live, so that supports the recording process. Of course, there were some restrictions officially, but don't tell anybody. We were breaking the law, and we were meeting not with only 2 guys, but with 4 guys. We are a band with 4 guys and the mixer, so we were 5 guys in our rehearsal room. But we have a lot of disinfection in our rehearsal room bar, you know. So we did fight the virus when we were recording and rehearsing. So I think we managed to do it. The only bad point was that, of course, everybody is recording now an album because nobody could play live. So the pressing was delayed. We were ready with the album at the New Year's Eve. We sent it to Metal Blade, and they said, "Oh, sorry, we can release it in June." That's 6 months later, you know. So we had to wait all the time. That was a little bit shitty because, of course, if you have recorded something, you want to have it in your hands, put it on the record player, and play it for the first time. You know, we are always already we are still hot to do it like that, and that was a pity that we had to wait.
Yeah, of course. But I think, though, sometimes it is best. I mean, the old saying is "good things comes to those who wait," and it's true because I'm looking at the upcoming releases, and I'm like, well, here and there, yep. But Friday, Disaster and Flotsam and Jetsam. Yep, I'll have that. As opposed to in the previous months where it's been like, oh fuck, there's too many albums coming out today. Sometimes there's so many albums coming out in a week that on our website we have like a list of upcoming albums, and it gets so long that you have to expand it to go onto a new page to see the rest of the albums that are coming out that week, let alone the rest of it.
So that's cool. That makes me proud that you waited for the new Disaster. Great to hear. I heard only one song of the new Flotsam album. I was a little bit skeptical, but you think the album is great on the whole, the new Flotsam Jetsam?
I've not heard the whole album yet, but they released a new single a couple of days ago, I think, and that was
Was it
that
good?
was
Okay, I have to risk an ear again. I'm a big fan. I like the first album, you know, with Jason Newsted. Was so fucking great bass playing there.
They're another one of those bands I think that don't always get the recognition they deserve because they're awesome. But everyone kind of knows them as, oh, that's the band that Jason Newsted was in before he was in Metallica, and they don't realise that as great as Doomsday the Deceiver is, and it is a classic thrash album. There's been so many great albums since then. Yeah. But we're not talking about Flotsam and Jetsam. We're talking about Disaster. Talking about Razor and every other fucking thrash band.
There's so many good bands around.
Yeah. And that's the other thing as well is that everyone always says, oh, outside of Bay Area or New York, oh, Germany's the place for thrash. And there's no argument really. But I think a lot of people tend to focus on Creator, Sodom, and Destruction, who obviously are all excellent bands. But you've got Disaster, of course, and Holy Moses, and Assassin, Tankard, so many other awesome bands. Germany's always been really fucking good to metal in general, but thrash, fucking top drawer. But,
Yeah. And we are very proud of bands like that. It's cool that you mentioned Disaster in this row, but of course we were a little bit later. You know, of course, Sodom, Creator, Destruction started all the things. Also, Holy Moses, as you mentioned, Assassin, great band as well. You know, and Disaster. We are the children of those bands. Not the children because we are not that young, but the cousins, I would say.
yeah. You're snot-nosed little cousins. But, with all due respect. But so, like you say, live shows are very few and far between at the moment. They're starting to come back now, but I would imagine booking live shows is a nightmare because everyone's had tours rescheduled and all that kind of thing. Do you have any further plans to promote this album? Are you going to do like more lyric videos or anything like that?
I think there will be another single, as they call it, and another lyric video coming out before the release date, which is next week. It's another song of the album, which is called Hell Puta. That's Spanish. Puta is a word for a whore, you know, a bad woman. And the Hell Puta is the sister of our angel whore, you know. So the song is called Hell Puta, and this will be the third single, the third lyric video to promote the album. It's coming out, and but we don't do any live streaming concerts or something like that. You know, Disaster only works in front of the fans. You know, I have to smell them, I have to shake hands with them, I have to bang my head together with the fans, the audience. You know, it's not working otherwise.
It's going to be funny when you return to the live stage and you go, "The fuck is that smell? Oh, it's our fan base. Yeah, I forgot what they smelled like."
Yeah, I'm not used to it anymore, so will be great. It's better than cocaine, I think. Just smell the maniacs.
There you go. What has 200 legs and 2 breasts? A Disaster show in
But in the last years, there are more and more women coming to our shows.
Well,
really.
I actually think at the moment, like, there's so many great metal bands coming out. They're either all women or led by women. I mean, there's bands like Nervosa and obviously Crypta from that, Burning Witches, really, really good shit.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good development in the metal scene. You know, when I started in 1986, there was no women at all in our scene, you know, in our town, and that was always a pity because a lot of friends, they decided to leave the metal scene because there were no women and they could only find them in the local disco, you know. So they cut their hair, they walked away and throw away their shirts even, and that was a bad point about being a heavy metal fan in the 80s, you know.
Yeah. No, I suppose, you know, even, you know, back then you would have had bands like Warlock and again Holy Moses, but you can't point to those 2 examples and go, see, there's women, honestly.
Yeah, well, only few.
Yeah.
Also, Lee Aaron, you know, I like this woman.
Well, Markus, thank you very much for taking time to speak to me today, mate. I really do appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you very much. Enjoy your weekend. Start drinking now. And hope to see you live again. Hope that we can play again also in the UK you come from. Where do you come from? What city? From which city do you come?
I come from a town called Swindon, which is down southwest. It's near Bristol. But I live up in Yorkshire now.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So I hope to see you in face and drink a beer with you in the future.
Cool.
So bye-bye.
Best of luck with the new album.
Yeah, good luck and stay healthy, of course.
And you. Vielen Dank und auf Wiedersehen.
Oh, das hört sich gut an. Sehr gut.
Mein Deutsch schlecht.
Have you learned it at school or?
No, I wish. They had a
Okay.
really stupid rule when I was at school, which was you had to learn French, and if you were good enough in French, then you could learn German.
Okay.
And I was like, that doesn't make any fucking sense.
No.
Two completely different languages, but
Yeah. German and English is Germanic language, and
absolutely,
French
yeah,
is Romanic. It's totally
yeah,
different.
yeah,
So, that's school. School is stupid.
exactly. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much. Enjoy your beer. Have some more, and
Yeah, of
best of
course.
luck. Bye now.
Bye bye.